Hello and welcome all to my YouTube channel Azure Beyond Demos. My name is Kunal Chandratre and we are going to discuss today about difference in cloud adoption framework CAF and well architected framework WAF. I work with many large scale organizations on daily basis. There are always new departments forming, new initiatives getting started in such organizations. There are always new teams who would be starting new on Microsoft Azure Cloud. And this obvious question comes to me. What is the difference between CAF and WAF and when to use what? Now in this video, I will talk about CAF and WAF for Azure. I'll take real life example of car and restaurant. And these example I'll correlate to Azure to apply cloud adoption framework and well architected framework. I will try to answer all real world questions I have received in recent times. So let us start. Cloud Adoption Framework or CAF provides organization level guidance from the Azure journey perspective, focusing on portfolio of workloads means multiple workloads and not restricted to a single project or application that you're trying to bring on Azure, and helping technical professionals and business decision makers to define business outcomes, technology outcomes, and strategies, and also act on those strategies to adopt Azure successfully. Whereas well-architected framework supports technology professionals in the architecture design and optimization of individual workloads. Both CAF and WAF can be used concurrently by organization as they plan, prepare, deploy, and manage their Azure investments. While contents of both are unique, both frameworks deliver the same value, that is, helping you to adopt Azure successfully. Let us talk about CAF stages. Here I am going to take real life example of buying car and associate that to Azure terminologies and stages in Azure adoption for better understanding. The first is strategy. In this stage, you define the need or why part. Like, why do I need a car? In terms of Azure, it will be why to adopt Azure Cloud. Planning is the phase where we will see what type of car, what is my budget, which primary feature I am looking into. Based on that, we will identify car model. In terms of Azure, we will identify the application, either that can be built from scratch or identify existing applications to be migrated to Azure. We will train our teams on new technologies. This is nothing but the planning phase. Ready and govern. In this step, I will get four-wheeler driving licenses. I will study traffic rules. I will plan for parking space. These are the steps just before buying the actual car. In terms of Azure, we will prepare environment, which often involves identifying list of Azure policies. Policies like when storage is provisioned, then it should always accept traffic on HTTPS, or no virtual machine should be provisioned with public IP, or no Azure resource should be created outside of, let's say, India region because of the business users are actually sitting in India, and so on. Then next phase is adopt. This is where I will actually buy the car and start driving it on a regular basis. In terms of Azure, we will have live application running on Azure in production. Secure is the phase where you will think of buying an insurance. After driving car for a few days, you get to know we should have anti-theft system, camera to the front and back, parking sensors, and so on. So basically, you try to protect yourself while driving the car. In terms of Azure, you will use cloud-enabled tools to do security review and assessment using Defender for Cloud, or set up stricter network security group rules, or tune in your Azure firewall, web application firewall rules, and so on. Next phase is manage. This is where you perform a regular servicing of the car so that it continues to run without any issue. In case of Azure, you will generally do operational setup like end-to-end monitoring, optimize cost wherever possible, then set up patch and security updates for workloads and so on using various Azure services like Advisor, Monitor, App Insights, and so on. Last phase is organize. Here I will decide who can drive my car. Definitely, I'm not giving it to my wife. In terms of Azure, once you run Azure for some time, you will analyze the usage pattern, define role-based access controls. You will set up management groups and actually apply policies on those. In govern stage, we had identified the policies. Those identified policies you will apply in organized step. So hope this gives you a good idea of cloud adoption framework. Well-architected framework or WAF is for a new application you are developing and you want to evaluate your new application, or it is for an application that you are already running on Azure and you want to evaluate it against five best practices pillars of well-architected framework. I'm going to take a real life example that you are running a food restaurant, and then we will do the analogy to Azure. First pillar, cost optimization. For your restaurant, you will always find an opportunity to cut down the operational cost, like buy the vegetables in bulk, reduce food wastages, etc. Same way in Azure, for your running workloads, you will explore options to use reserved capacity, saving plan, right sizing the underutilized virtual machines and resources. Azure is operational expenditure, OPEX, so you must spend only what is needed. For security, you will have CCTV, door locks, you will lock your cash counters, you will do employee background checks, and so on for your restaurant. On Azure, you will follow zero trust model. You will use cloud native or third party security tools to assess your security posture from time to time. Reliability in this, instead of having single chef for your restaurant, you will plan to have at least two chefs with same skills. For electricity, have a backup inverter or generator. Then during weekends, you might increase the staff. This ensures that your restaurant's operation are reliable. Exactly same way to make sure that your application on Azure is reliable, you will use high availability usings, availability zones, configure geo redundancy for storage databases, and so on. Essentially, you will do very specific assessment for reliability of your workloads on Azure. Operational excellence. You will create daily checklist of restaurant. You will train the staff from time to time. You will use auto payment system for your customers so they have seamless experience and so on. For Azure, you will implement CI/CD DevOps based approach to manage deployments for your application. Use monitoring alerts to make sure that things are in control. Performance efficiency. In your restaurant, you will always find ways to serve faster and better, and it is a continuous process. You might implement point of sale, you might have best selling dishes pre prepared to some extent, or have automatic washers for utensils to make them ready during peak hours, and so on. For Azure workloads, you will see ways to optimize performance for your application using caching, auto scaling, code optimization techniques, and so on. So, overall, well architected framework is like running a five-star restaurant in the cloud: secure, efficient, reliable, cost aware, and high performing. Now is the time to look into real world questions about CAF and WAF for Azure. So, let's start with the first one. Is cloud adoption framework designed only for large enterprises? The answer is no. The intention of CAF is irrespective of size of organization. See, CAF is a framework, not a product. So it's a set of best practices, tools, and guidance to help any organization, big or small, adopt Azure in a structured, secure, and cost-effective way. Question number two, is CAF provide high level guidance and it is not technical guidance? Mm, I'll say CAF provides both high level strategic and technical guidance. It's not limited to just high level advice. CAF starts with business goals at a high level, yes, but it drills down into technical implementation through tools, templates, and governance patterns. To define the cloud strategy, aligned to the business outcomes. It helps leaders to decide why they are moving to the cloud. Whereas on the technical guidance, we can say use Azure Landing Zone to deploy network identity and policies. That means it provides bicep templates, architecture diagrams, and scripts to build secure environments. Okay, let's move to question number three. Is CAF mainly about documentation and should be done in a linear way? No, CAF is not just about documentation, nor is it meant to be followed in a strict linear way. CAF is flexible framework with modular stages. You can start where it makes sense for your organization. Whether you are just planning or already in the cloud doesn't matter. A startup may skip detailed governance at first and focus on adopt to migrate an application quickly. Later, they can go back and implement govern and manage step as they scale. Meanwhile, an enterprise may start with the ready step to build secure landing zone before migrating anything. So it is up to you how you want to start and where to start. At the end, you need to make sure that you evaluate your journey across each step of CAF and WAF. Question number four, is CAF useful only for greenfield or new projects? No, it is for greenfield and brownfield both. Brownfield means an application already running on Azure, and then you use cloud adoption framework guidelines to govern. So in that case, you will say, I will apply naming and tagging policies. Then you can use CAB guidelines to manage. In this step, you will set up the monitoring and cost controls. And let's say CAB guidelines for brownfield application. For the secure step, you will implement baseline security and identity controls. So that's how you will use it. Question number five, CAF enterprise scale guidance is too much complex for me. What should I do? You're not alone. Cloud adoption framework, enterprise scale landing zone guidance can feel overwhelming, especially if you're a small team or just starting out. Skip the complexity of full enterprise landing zone if they are too heavy for you. Start with the basic landing zone using tools like Azure Landing Zone Accelerator. It's a starter template. Uh, or you can use ARM or Bicep templates just for implementing networking, identity, and policy, and nothing else. You can focus only on key pillars, let's say security using NSGs, RBAC, cost control using budgets and tagging, and you can skip the others. Think of CAF like a buffet. Okay, you don't have to eat anything. You don't have to eat everything. Pick what fits your appetite today and then scale up later. That's how it should be used. Question number six, is well architected framework intended only for certain workloads? Nothing like that. Azure WAF applies to all type of workloads, whether it's a simple website, cloud native application, data pipeline, hybrid or enterprise system, and so on. Okay. Question number seven, is WAF to be used only after deployment of application on Azure? WAF is meant to guide you throughout the entire life cycle of workload. So before deployment, you will use WAF to design it with scalability, security, and cost in mind. During the deployment phase of your application, you will apply WAF pillars to apply automation, monitoring, and testing. And then after deployment, you will use WAF pillars to continuously optimize and improve in performance. Hope this clarifies. Let's move to the next part of questions. Question number one, from CAF Enterprise Scale Landing Zone, blueprints, templates, ARM scripts, bicep scripts. I want to use only firewall deployment. Can I do that? Yes, you absolutely can. You can extract and use only firewall deployment specific portion from the CAF landing zone. You don't need to deploy the full solution. Absolutely fine. From CAF landing zone deployment, I don't want to create so many subscriptions for identity networking and so on. Is it okay? Yes, it's absolutely okay not to create multiple subscriptions when deploying a cloud adoption framework enterprise scale landing zone. CAF landing zone is best practice recommendation uh, for large enterprises specifically, but it's not a strict requirement. But we assume that you being a small organization now will scale to become a large organization, right? So keeping that futuristic point of view, this enterprise scale landing zone has been designed. Okay. All right. Then can I evaluate my application architecture for WAF pillars even before deployment of my Azure resources and application? Yes, absolutely. You can and you should evaluate your application architecture against the Azure well-architected framework before deploying anything. Let's say you're designing a new web application. Then before deploying, you can use WAF to ask questions like, what if a region fails? How will I monitor my application health? Are my cost estimates aligned with my usage patterns? Am I following zero trust principles from the start? Use the Azure Well Architected Review tool to guide your planning even before a single resource is provisioned on Azure. All right, so I hope this video have given you an idea about CAF, WAF, and which one need to be used when. If you have any specific queries, drop in comment section and I will answer them at my level best. Okay, so see you in next video. Thank you and bye.